The gang, it is still muggy this evening. Patchy fog, a little bit of rain around the region is possible, but overall radar is pretty quiet, except for maybe down near Charlottesville, southwest of town. But the week ahead looking less rainy, hot, and muggy conditions are possible. I'm especially looking at the heat index values, those how it's going to feel when you combine the temperature with humidity for Wednesday and Thursday. I really think it could feel around 100 degrees, maybe a little more, for the heat index values on Wednesday and Thursday. So the dew points you see now for the next couple days aren't quite as bad. The mugginess is going to grow. That humid feeling is going to grow as we head more and more into the week. But for the latest forecast, go to CWG.news/latest, and our report on Henri, which made landfall in Rhode Island, CWG.news/Henri. So at least most of us could stand to dry out. I hope you have enjoyed your gardens getting watered, your crops getting watered. It's been quite wet. And here's the heat index map for Wednesday. Just wanted to flag how it could feel like near or around 100 degrees on Wednesday. Dew points could get up into the low 70s at times by the time we're looking at late Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday. So midweek could be muggy, that is for sure. Peter, hello, thanks for tuning in. Snow prospects for this winter, too early to say, Greg, but we'll have to watch how the equatorial waters in the Pacific behave. Eric, no rain in the valley, but Carlos here is thinking about food. Excellent. And David, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Ready for fall, says Owen and Andrew. We are so far, I think, still a hair below average for August, believe it or not. But I think we're going to have a slight positive anomaly. It's going to be slightly above the August average, Andrew, by the time all things are said and done. Danny is ready for fall. Can it be fall already? And Charlene, enough with the rain for Pete's sake. Yes. The good news is it is looking like a less rainy week this upcoming week. So take heart. If your gardens are swamped, you've been really inundated recently, you're not alone. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. I'm Kim DeWalker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks for tuning in for these weekly Sunday Sunset Chats. It is a hot and muggy work week ahead, less rain expected, and the Henri made landfall in Rhode Island today, so make sure you see the latest report at CWG.news/Henri for the latest on what's happening in New England. So we're DMV, but there's a trough of low pressure kind of extending behind it, so we could be a little bit unsettled in some spots tomorrow, but mainly east of the Blue Ridge. And the storms tomorrow, if any develop, should be faster moving. They shouldn't sit over one area. So we're coming to the end of the flash flooding threat, and here on Tuesday we could be dry as Henri continues to pull into Canada, probably an extratropical post-cyclone, post-tropical low at that point. But we still do have a trough near us, draped kind of over the region. So we'll keep an eye on one or two pop-up showers possible, but Tuesday's generally looking dry and sunny overall. Thank you for joining from Twitter, from YouTube, from Facebook. I'm Cam DeWalker for CapitalWeatherGang.com, simulcasting to you on these three platforms. Make sure you're following us on all three. And sunset's getting earlier and earlier. Thanks for tuning in before 8 p.m. now for these Sunday Sunset live Q&A chats. I really appreciate it. Alex, was a great summer with a lot of heat waves. You're loving it, and you're loving more heat coming this week. Alex, excellent. Good to see you from YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got Lori is agreeing for less rain with Charlene. And Drew, appreciate you're tired of this though, and I appreciate you tuning in. Feeling headaches in the nonsense far too long from all this heat and humidity and rain. And Greg, you're going on a Percival ride next Sunday. Thoughts on a week out? Looks like it could be a little cooler. Below 90 degrees is cool still for this time of year, and might be a little bit unsettled as a cold front might come into the region this upcoming weekend. But let's look ahead. Let me give you a sneak preview. Here's Saturday. I'm willing to show you the temperatures for that far out. Looks like it could stay below 90 degrees, potentially a little bit less muggy. The dew point's below 70 degrees, so that's something. And then as we get into Sunday, Monday, and into next work week, the atmosphere is kind of giving us a hint that it might want to be slight probability of above average temperatures. And just keep in mind for context that our average is 86 for a high right now into next work week, and 69 for a low temperature by the time we're looking at this map for next work week. Now the probabilities of precipitation, what's the outlook? Looking like a slight probability for above average precipitation next work week as well. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we'll see. There's a signal there for slightly warmer and slightly wetter conditions. So keep that in mind. What else do I have for you? Rains over the forecast over the next 7 days is for drier. That's the good news. If you are sick of this rain, well, the good news is you don't have to put up with quite nearly as much this week. So that is good. Make sure you're even checking on your gardens and crops later this week. It could dry out a little bit with the strong August sunshine, still keeping those evapotranspiration rates pretty high. But here it is looking backward over the past 7 days. We are doing quite fine. A little too much rain in parts of the region. 4 inches in several locations, if not more, 5 inches down there near Roanoke. So yes, enough of this rain already. And the drought situation is looking much better, especially on the eastern half of the United States. And even the seasonal outlook removes that little bit of drought that we have in the Virginia, West Virginia border there, Bath County and such, maybe down near Roanoke as well. So that's good news. The pattern is shifting, so even the dry spots along the East Coast, around our at least the mid-Atlantic, are going to be looking wetter and wetter as we go forward. All right, let me take some questions and comments. A quick check of radar. It's pretty clear tonight, except southwest of town down near Charlottesville. And here's the hot and muggy forecast for the week ahead. CWG.news/latest is the PM update by Greg Porter. And Henri may landfall in Rhode Island. We have a report for you at CWG.news/Henri right there. All right, the best day to cut grass this week, Angela, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. It looks like fairly low rain chances. I know it feels like this rain never ends. I agree with you, but luckily less rain for this upcoming work week, Angela, so keep the faith. Teresa, no more saunas, please. Well, dew points, while they're not terrible right now, I mean, I'm thinking about an evening walk after this broadcast. It's 60s are feeling mighty good. We've acclimated to 70-degree plus dew points this time of year. So when you see a dew point in the 60s, it doesn't feel too bad. But I am slightly eyeing the fact that we could get dew points by Wednesday. Look at that heat index value of 98 in DC, 101 in Richmond. We could be dew points in the low 70s. So when you combine the air temperature with the muggy dew points, kind of at or above 70 degrees, it is going to feel like around 100 degrees potentially by the middle of this week. So please keep that in mind. Okay. A little bit of a sauna. Sorry, Teresa. Greg, hello. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got Conroy. When can we expect the full outlook forecast? Typically near Labor Day. Near Labor Day is typically, I haven't seen an official plan yet, but typically as we get near Labor Day, we want you all to think about at least meteorological fall and astronomical fall on the calendar, which we hit around September 21. And what else? Hello, thank you for tuning in from Twitter. I appreciate that. And Alan, ready for less humidity, but it is still August. Very good point. And on that note, let's take a quick look at our average temperatures into next work week as we look at a slight probability there in the light orange that we are above average for our temperatures. And what is average now by the time we get to next work week? 86 degrees for an average high temperature and 69 degrees for an average low temperature at DCA Airport. So please keep that in mind for context. So the warmth and a little bit of mugginess could continue, especially when I look at an atmospheric signal with a slight probability of above average rainfall next work week as well. So sorry, could be patchy fog, maybe not flooding. We're lucky that we're not talking about flooding again at this point for next work week, but we could certainly continue to stand to dry out a little bit longer. So when you see a slight probability for above average rainfall, think of a little added humidity to the air, and maybe dew points are not going to sink into dry territory if you still have kind of a moisture feed like we might have again next work week as well. All right, so we've got Charlene providing a look ahead for pollen over the next week or two. I think, Charlene, things will stay pretty low, but we are going to see some more sunshine this week, and I think right now everything across the board is low for you right now. But mold and mildew could kind of increase this week as we see a little bit of sun mixing with our very moist soil. Trees should stay low, and then grass and weeds could go up to kind of a low-medium category potentially later this week. They could cash in on all this rain, and the topsoil is very moist right now, and then when we have sunshine, as we might see by the middle part of this week more and more, I think pollen could go up a little bit Tuesday and Wednesday, so do keep that in mind. But the next couple weeks overall, I mean, especially if we see another above average rainfall week, slightly above average probability for rainfall being above average next week, we could keep the pollen kind of under control, but mold and mildew could kind of amplify again with increased wetness in our topsoil. So again, we're making sure you realize the mugginess this week is possible. Right now, it's pretty nice, but dew points are heading maybe at or above 70 degrees by the middle part of this week. So keep in mind the heat index is going to be a little more July-like by later this week, middle of the week. We could see, maybe we see one heat advisory, but I don't think we're going to quite see a 105 degree heat index. And the heat index is when you combine the air temperature with the dew points. And that gives you an apparent temperature, a real feel of your skin, how it is perceiving the air. Because of our natural cooling system, it requires moisture to be evaporated or sweat to be evaporated from our skin. So when that system shuts down a little bit and these heat index values get higher and higher, you know the dew points are getting higher and not allowing our skin to breathe and evaporate and cool itself very well. So that's why heat index is a valid measure of how it could feel by the middle part of this week. 101 maybe in Richmond, 98 or 100 or so here in DC as well. Yes, Deborah, we need our basements to dry out a little. I agree. And Alex, this has been a summer with some extreme weather, extreme heat, and severe storms that took out power. I agree. It has been rough on much of the East Coast, at least. What else? We've got David saying, not much of a chance for snow, David. No, stay tuned for our winter outlook as we get closer to Thanksgiving. We will keep an eye on things. Much too early to talk about the winter snow forecast just yet. But I like that one of the components we look at is the equatorial Pacific waters and how those temperatures might influence northern hemisphere weather patterns going into the winter. But too early to say just yet. David, so glad we're on the opposite side of drought. Yes, indeed. Speaking of drought, I think I'm pleased to show you that we're doing pretty well east of the Mississippi River. Things are in pretty good shape. And the seasonal outlook, when we go through November 30th, probably drought removal for central West Virginia and Virginia, where we have had some abnormally dry spots recently, but I think the pattern is slowly changing. Here is backwards looking over the last 7 days or so, 6.5 days. Look at all that rain we had over previously abnormally dry areas along the central Blue Ridge and central Appalachians. We are in much better shape, a little too much too quickly, I would argue, when you see 5 inches plus down there around Roanoke. But the forecast this week allows many of us to dry out. Many locations not seeing much of any rain, but you can see the kind of the popcorn nature of this forecast looking out forward 7 days from now. By the time you talk to me next Sunday for these weekly Sunday sunset chats, we could have a few, popcorn storms are possible there, but not to be literally taken as white and gray areas are fairly dry this week, and green and blue means wet. It just means this region, our region, the Mid-Atlantic, could see kind of some pop-up showers and storms this week, but generally nothing too heavy or long-lasting as it appears now. And of course, you can see northeast of town up there in New England, Henri is laying down plenty of rainfall, and that becomes an inland flooding threat after making landfall today in New England. So for the latest on Mid-Atlantic weather, go to CWG.news/latest, and for the latest on Henri, which made landfall in Rhode Island, go to CWG.news/Henri right there. All right, we've got David. Yep, we're opposite of drought. Yes, indeed. Any hurricanes lined up in the Atlantic? Rosemary, let's check that out. And while I scroll to the tropics, I'm going to remind you, anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. I'm Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com tonight, and taking a look at the tropics. Nothing threatening just yet. Henri is making landfall, already has made landfall in Rhode Island, and we have a slight probability that this disturbance kind of over near the Cabo Verde, the Cape Verde Islands, moves in closer to the central Atlantic and maybe develops in the next 5 days, but only a slight chance. That the next name on the list, let's keep that in mind. The I name is Ida, so we'll see if Ida develops later this week, but so far chances are slight, and we can take maybe a small break over the coming week. We'll see. We'll keep, of course, an eye on things at capitalweathergang.com, but at least we need a small break after so much activity recently. But keep in mind that we can't go to sleep yet, because the peak of the hurricane season is September 10th, and we are expecting an above average hurricane season, as you can see right here from the NOAA statistics. So as we get towards September 10th, 11th, peak of hurricane season, I'm sure we will ramp up things again. And just so you know, I looked at kind of where the winds were with Henri, and they stay well well to our northeast into New England. So we are doing pretty good around here, pretty calm air, and that could lead to some patchy fog tonight, especially if you saw some downpours today or heavy showers. So our region is good. Henri is staying well to our northeast in the mid-Atlantic. We are doing all right with things, and I think our sunsets continue to get earlier, and so I appreciate you tuning in. I'm Camden Walker doing these weekly Sunday sunset chats. 7:52, we're definitely before 8 p.m. now, so I'll be talking to you a few minutes earlier each of these subsequent Sundays going toward the winter solstice. Feels like it's almost around the corner, but it is not. Let's try and enjoy some of this pleasant-ish weather with dew points in the 60s right now. It could get hotter and muggier this week, so I'm trying to point out now is kind of pleasant tonight with a 67-degree dew point, but heat index values are looking much more steamy as we get into the middle part of this week. I just wanted to flag for you, here's the Wednesday map. We've got heat index values kind of around 100 degrees possible for Richmond, for DC, and dew points could get up into the low 70s again, maybe around 70. For the muggy, gross feeling later this week, so keep that in mind. So Rosemary, thanks for asking about the tropics, and Todd, I don't have right now a good recommendation for you, but it is hard to predict right now with these summer storms. It's very hit or miss. Your neighbor a mile away could get dumped on, but we have a popcorn storm, hit or miss shower nature for the next 7 days. This forecast of rain over the next 7 days kind of shows you some holes, some bonuses near the mid-Atlantic, very close proximity. It's impossible to pinpoint in this type of air mass in this time of year typically when we're going to see exact amounts of rain and where, especially even more than a day out. So I just wanted to show you the kind of general idea over the next 7 days. This is going to show you nothing too heavy, too long lasting. I think our flash flooding threat is behind us. Storms should not be too heavy and sit over one area this upcoming week. 1 or 2 downpours can't be ruled out, as you see some blue and green spots there in central Virginia. Even if storms don't occur directly in those areas this week, generally the region does have hit or miss storms. So it's, I know, frustrating when you look at the app. Sometimes you don't see exactly what you want to see in a precise manner. But here at Capital Weather, we want to be honestly representing the weather data to you and tell you confidence can't always be high. It's somewhat low medium confidence this week on exactly where and when rain might happen and what amounts. So we want to be trusted by you and not offer you false precision. So I hope you can understand. Anyway, that was a long explanation, but anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. I'm Camden Walker. Thank you for tuning in for these weekly Sunday sunset chats. Here is the latest on Henri right here, and the latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, the PM update written by Greg Porter tonight. Lisa asked, any projections of when it will cool? Not in the upcoming 10 to 14 days, I'm afraid. I peered out into the future for you, and next work week still has a slight probability of being above average as well, and average is still pretty warm. It's still August, so we might be near 90 again next week as well. So I'm sorry, Lisa, we might have to wait till September to talk about more cooling weather, cooling trends, and we got to get these averages a little bit closer down toward 80 degrees as well before I think we can give you some cool days. Hello, Annette, thanks for tuning in. And David, yep, and you're right, sometimes we do get affected by the ice storms, so we'll keep an eye on things. Wow, that's a homophone. We will keep a watch on the tropics this upcoming week. No reason to have high anxiety or think that we'll directly see this slight chance of the central Atlantic storm developing, if it does even develop. But yes, the next name on the list is Ida for this hurricane season, because Henri, now crossed off, made landfall today in Rhode Island, so keep that in mind. We have our latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, and the forecast is for hot and muggy conditions this week with a little bit less rain on tap. And here's our latest report on Henri. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Todd, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm glad I could answer your question. Have a very good night. If you saw some rain today, you could see patchy fog tonight. Prepare for mugginess to go up a little bit this week. These 60-degree dew points now are going to head near 70 more uncomfortable degrees, 70 degrees or hotter. And I did flag for you, I just wanted to show you one more time. By the middle of this week, we could see heat index values around 100 degrees with dew points kind of in the low 70s potentially in that muggy gross category. So hang in there, stay safe, And I don't think, Linda, you'll see any rain tonight necessarily in Centerville. Radar is looking pretty clear. And you can see, yes, there is a little bit of lighter rain behind Henri, but it's sticking up north of the Mason-Dixon line in Pennsylvania. So I hope that helps. Everyone have a great week. Stay cool, stay dry as possible. Less rain is forecast this week, but it could be sweaty with the mugginess increasing as we go into the middle part of the week with my emoji there, with the tongue out and sweating. All right, I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com signing off. I'll see you next Sunday for a weekly